Hey everybody, I just recorded you all. I thought I recorded you all a long lecture, but it didn't record. So here I am again. I have been thinking about you a lot and just want to let you know you've been on my mind, obviously, as I do my best to prepare a course for you for these next 6 weeks that is manageable but also meaningful. And I wanted to offer you some assurance before I get started on this week's topic for discussion and just say a couple words about what I've created and how I am approaching these next 6 weeks as your professor. So, um, to me, we are in an emergency moment that demands reprioritizing things and getting really clear on what matters and really clear on what doesn't matter. Um, what doesn't matter to me is delivering the content of this course exactly as I had it planned and making sure you guys are doing the exact same kind of assignments and assessing you in just exactly the way that I was. I think that my job as an educator, my mission is to think about you and relate to you as best as I can as human beings first, rather than just students. And with that in mind, I have been thinking about, okay, what can I provide you with? What is my job right now? And I think my job is to be a model and to create a safe space where you guys can connect and you have both direction and autonomy, freedom and guidance in those spaces. I want to ask you questions and create assignments for you that take you into material beyond this pandemic, but also afford you the opportunity to relate that material to this experience so that you can help make meaning and process and find your footing and find your way through this experience in a way that's not just surviving and white knuckling it, but actually mining something important and rewarding for yourself and for those you love and live with. So to that end, I have created the Zoom groups for you guys that you'll start tomorrow. I will be grading those generously. Show up, engage, and you'll be fine. Um, uh, and then the journals that you're going to be doing in your Dropbox files. And I've created directions for all of these things in the emails that I've sent you over the last several days. So please, if you haven't already, make sure you do look at those emails because all of the information that you need is there. So I'm not going to rehearse that again because I don't want to waste your time here and my own as well. I'd rather move on to stuff that's really pertinent with regard to what I can share with you. Face to face here. So I want to say a couple of things too about this weird space we're in and offer my 2 cents on it, and hopefully you'll find it a little bit assuring. And then I'm going to move from there into the topics that we're going to discuss this week and what we're going to be doing the next week. So just a lay of the land. I'm going to be making a video for you, a little video lecture for you every week. I will be usually posting it on Mondays. I'm sorry this one is so late. I was fielding lots and lots and lots of troubleshooting today and literally did not have time until now to make you this video. I had anticipated doing so much earlier, so forgive me. But I'm going to be posting a video for you in the very beginning of the week, which I ask that you watch in preparation for your Zoom conference calls on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, you will be, before the Zoom meetings, I'd like you to listen to this video. I'd like you to go to your forums and look at the discussion questions there, print those out or write those down, do some journaling in your Dropbox journal, and then bring your notes ready to your Zoom conference calls so that you have something to say and you can participate and you guys can really connect. And I invite you to use those questions as a jumpstart, as a starting place, do what you can with them and then move on to discuss whatever is pertinent and relevant to you. I want you to feel guided and mentored with those questions, but not constrained and trapped. And then on Thursdays, there's a Zoom with Zona opportunity for you from 2 to 3 on Thursday afternoons where I will be available to do a Q&A, to move deeper into the discussion, and to see your faces and connect with you there. And then there's the journals that you'll be doing in your Dropbox files. So all the details for those things are in the emails if you want to go learn more about them. So I want to just share a little bit about what I'm experiencing during this time and my 2 cents about how I'm framing this time. What I know to be true as a 52-year-old woman in the United States today is that every major breakthrough in my life, personally, professionally, as well, and by breakthrough I mean every big growth spurt, like creative spurt, every revelation, transformation that's happened in my life has always been preceded by a break. And those breaks often have felt in the moment devastating, just devastating. And I'm sure you've had these experiences in your own lives, right? Have you experienced something that in the moment, maybe it was a breakup or the loss of someone you loved or a pet that you loved or an illness that you endured or somebody you love endured, a tragedy, an accident. I'm sure even at age 18, 19, 20 that you guys have already experienced things, and some things that could be much more traumatic than what I've just named, that perhaps you're still working through, or perhaps you're on the other side of. And you can see now in hindsight that as difficult as those experiences were, they instigated and inspired growth in you that led to ways of seeing the world, ways of inhabiting the world, ways of thinking and being that are critical and that you cherish now. So this is how I view the experience we're going through right now. And that's not to be, looking at things through rose-colored glasses. I know the seriousness of this pandemic. I'm very, very gravely aware of the emergency moment that we're in and the absolute need for us to follow orders and be contained and, really get this virus under control. I do think it's dangerous, very. And at the same time, I believe that we are in a massive contraction right now globally, culturally, and that we will follow this with a massive expansion. Here's an analogy that I think is useful. So when we're young, that's to say kids and even adolescents and young adults like you guys are, when our brains are still growing, getting a fever is actually really, really good for your brain as long as the temperature doesn't go over 105 or over. A fever, despite what you may have been told when you were little, is actually good for your brain. And if you can stand it, it's not great to take ibuprofen or Tylenol and calm it down, because a fever is an indication that your body is fighting this fever. And when your body does that, you actually produce more brain cells. Your brain goes through this big growth spurt when you survive a fever. And fevers are sort of these built-in mechanisms of childhood that allow your brain to regenerate really, really quickly. So after a fever, when you're well on the other side, your brain is different than it was before. Your brain has more gray matter. Your brain has the fatty tissue that enables your synapses to connect is thicker. You have higher functioning neural pathways. You have literally a bigger brain. And I think that's what's happening to us right now collectively. I really do. I think that we are in the midst of a collective fever, and that on the other side of this, even though there is going to be loss, even there already has been tremendous loss, even though it's going to be painful, it is painful, and it will be even more painful. On the other side of this collective fever, I believe we will have a massive growth spurt as a species. And if you look back through history like we did in Sapiens, you'll see that every major breakthrough historically is preceded by a break of some kind. And I think we're experiencing a kind of break, a breakdown. And that's necessary for building back up differently. So I think our course and the questions we've been asking all semester are really timely. like uncannily timely for us right now. Because what I invite you to do over the next 6 weeks in this class is let the questions we've been asking together guide you as you move through this pandemic consciously and intentionally, right? I invite you not just to surrender to white knuckling and surviving through this time, but to giving yourself permission to make of this experience a radical growth time for you, because it's going to be for us culturally. And you can be on the cutting edge of that, the leading edge of that in your own community, whatever that looks like, or you can be just sort of dragged along. So, how can we together in this class support each other, ask questions together that are going to help us be the light, not just simply be dragged through this, right? What can we do individually, collectively, to help orchestrate a togetherness and a fortitude and an ingenuity and a problem solving through this experience that enables us to make something meaningful of it? Because we will and we can. So that is my mission in the next 6 weeks with you guys. And I want to create assignments and questions for you that will help guide you in that process. So this week, what we're going to be focusing on is really just finding our sea legs in the middle of this whole experience, troubleshooting the technology. I'm very interested to see how the Zoom meetings go. Thank you to the hosts. Thank you. Thank you. I will be on deck at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'm going to be sitting right here while you guys in your meetings. So if you have any problems, any technology stuff that happens, please email me and I will do my best to troubleshoot with you, or text me. Actually, just text me. That's faster. You want to see what my shirt says? Choose loving kindness. I wore it for you guys. Our topic this week, other than just getting situated and figuring out the technology and getting our new routines into place, is twofold. One, I want to invite you to think about what we've learned so far about the wiring of the ancient Homo sapien mind or brain, scarcity mindset, all of that stuff, right? That old primitive wiring in our brain, and the gap we live in right now, right? We still have these brains that are hardwired for living in the middle of the food chain, yet we live in a world of relative abundance. And how do we close that gap? How do we intervene so that we can not let scarcity mindset or scarcity wiring, the neurology of scarcity, derail us in the present moment? And how can we harness those parts of our brains in service of evolving intentionally as a species? So obviously this moment right now is a very interesting moment because so many of our primal fears are being stirred, right? It's good to be afraid when there's a reason to be afraid, and we should be afraid. And at the same time, we do not want to panic, and we do not want to create a pandemic of anxiety. So how is it that we can learn from what we've studied so far to manage this situation